I wanted to ask you about pesticides. So what was the recent ruling on glyphosate?
That was an EO, which is an executive order from the president saying that we're going to make the ingredients for glyphosate in this country and for elemental phosphorus. And, you know, I've spent 40 years fighting pesticides. I was part of the trial team on the Monsanto case, which was the team that, we won 3 cases in a row and then got an $11 billion settlement with Monsanto, which is now Bayer. By the end of our trial, Bayer owned Monsanto. But, pesticides are poison. They're designed to kill all life. It's not a good thing to have in your food. So it's not something that I was particularly happy with. Let me put it that way mildly. But I also understand the president's point of view. The president didn't create the system. He's dealing with a problem that was created long before, over the past 60 years, when, through federal policies and subsidies and the management of farming in this country, the agricultural management, we have addicted our farmers to these pesticides, and particularly glyphosate. Glyphosate is the foundational pesticide of our food production system. So 97% of corn in this country is produced with glyphosate and can't be produced without it. 98%, you could do it. You could change it. There's organic corn producers in this country. It's like 3%. 98% of soy is produced with glyphosate. If you ban glyphosate overnight, or if you got rid of it, or if somebody else cut off our supply, it would destroy the American food system. And
how crazy is that statement? The American foods, the entire system is based on using poison.
Right. The farmers don't like it. Let me just explain what the EO did. Right now, according to the industry reports, 99% of our glyphosate comes from China. So the Pentagon and others said this is an extreme national security vulnerability, that China controls the U.S. food system. And we can't afford to let that happen. If we got in some kind of tangle with them, they could literally cut off our food supply overnight and cripple the country. And so that's what the president was responding to. But we all know we've got to transition off of glyphosate. We all know that. And the farmers hate it. They're now starting to see these chemical-resistant weeds, so that can't be treated with glyphosate. And now it's predictable. 2, they hate the inputs. It's cost them a lot of money. 3, the foreign countries won't allow them to export. Like Europe doesn't allow, most European countries don't allow the export of our crops to their countries.
Well, how are they doing it?
They use less glyphosate than we do.
But they
use some. They use it, but our system is all Roundup Ready corn and Roundup Ready soy,
right.
And so they don't use it like we do over here.
Ideally, that we would transition away from that, right?
Yeah, and it's also, they know it's destroying their soil, and they're all suffering from runoff. It destroys the microbiome in the soil, and because of that, the soil can't. You don't get water infiltration in the soil. And so the soil then runs off, and it's destroying their farms. It's not sustainable. Everybody knows that.
We had Will Harris from White Oak Pastures on here, and he showed us the literal line in the river between his organic farm and the next door neighbor's farm. We could see this clear line where all the runoff is going into the river.
Yeah, but Will Harris will also tell you the same thing that I said, is that what he did is very hard, and it's not
20 years.
What?
Took him 20 years.
It took him 20 years, and it's not applicable to every farmer. And
right.
He understands the problem too. We all understand that this is a huge problem. So the president was dealing with national security, and they did something that I really don't like, which is to support. There's a lawsuit about that's now before the Supreme Court, but in the lower court they supported is asked for federal preemption. So that would mean that if the federal label says that this is safe, that these state lawsuits now cannot be brought. So it would throw out a lot of the state lawsuits, and it effectively gives them immunity from liability.